Okay, so hopefully this video does not cut off, because normally it does cut off when I start to give the information about the people names who was involved, because they want you to just be looking crazy and all frantic out here without exposing the people who was actually involved. I'm right here in front of the University of Texas MD Anderson Cancer Center, and no, I don't got no tumor or nothing like that. You can look at my video and see the baby kicking in my stomach on one of the videos if you scroll down to the bottom. So the Montgomery County Jail is the first people that I want to expose, because they knew that I was pregnant and they were poisoning me through my trays and my drinks. But when I got out, I got released on the charges because I was not guilty. So they were trying to murder me and not give me no trial, because it's too much evidence against Austin Metter to be trying to convict me, and I'm pregnant by him. So like, how you gonna send me to jail pregnant by him and he was attacking us? So they was just in there trying to murder me or whatever. So here is they dropped 2 of the charges anyway, but they were still charging me with the aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, and I was protecting myself. And they said because they didn't have enough evidence to prosecute me. And the other one was I think it was for child endangerment. They was saying that I endangered my son, but the investigator and the witness was like, nah, he was being stupid with the baby, and she was protecting herself and she was protecting the baby. So now my little boy was 22 months old at the time, and I have not seen my little boy in 2 years because of this. He's 4 years old now. Okay, so when I got released from the Montgomery County Jail, they told me that I was going to need to be released to somebody for my safety. The lady said it was possibly somebody could try to hurt me or whatever, you know, for my safety, or that the mental health said. And I told y'all I'm not mentally ill, and they know that. So, and I don't take psych medications or anything. He does. All right, so the first person I want to say is there was a man named Kelvin who was coming up to my job when I worked at Taco Bell in Conroe, Texas, and I kind of sort of befriended him a little bit. But Kelvin was in jail for statutory rape. But he was not the man who I went with. He was someone who was kind of like staging some stuff going on before I got into Montgomery County Jail, before this altercation even took place. This was happening while Austin Metter was in jail. Now, when I was getting released, nobody came to get me, so they were just gonna leave me in there. And then the guard, the white female guard and the Hispanic guard, they was like, you can go ahead and just leave, you good, I think you good. So when I was leaving, Sterling Blackjack came running up, and he has assault charges. And that Cookie was saying that he might be a pedophile. I don't know, that's just an allegation. But he told me that he has assault charges. So they like to make a lot of noise while I'm making these videos to try to keep me from being able to tell y'all and to distract me. So basically Sterling was the one who came and took me to his home first. The day that I was released from the Montgomery County Jail, the night that they released me, he didn't come to get me out, but when I was walking out of the jail, he ran up in the lobby like, oh, you can come to my house. And I'm like, well, you wasn't answering the phone, so you were just gonna leave me up in there. So, you know, I'm thinking, why would I trust going with you all of a sudden? I didn't trust him, but I didn't have nowhere to go, because they had kept me in there for 10 months to where I felt like I had lost my apartment, because I don't know who living there right now, because I haven't been back to knock on the door and see who's up in my house. Because it ain't mine really if I've been gone for 10 months and I ain't been making sure the rent paid or whatever. But anyway, so Sterling, aka Blackjack, also known as Blackjack, took me to his home in Montgomery County, Texas. And the first night, I'm gonna just say it was very uncomfortable, but he was beating on he was being violent. And so I was like, okay, I gotta get up out of here. I told him to drop me out by the Salvation Army. And then when he dropped me out by the Salvation Army, then I walked down to the, I told him to give me some food. I walked down to the Chevron and got me some food, and I sat in front of the laundromat. When I sat in front of the laundromat, that's when Keevy came up to me and started to introduce himself. Now, Keevy had told me he had a rape charge for trying to rape his sister. And then he said he was going to get his grandpa, Reverend Stewart, to take us to his trailer on his grandma's property in Montgomery County, Texas. And Reverend Stewart was doing a life sentence at one point in time. And then Pug was over there, his uncle, and Pug had a murder charge. And so after that, I went to my sister's house, and my sister was the one who asked me what was the name of the studio that I was going to. And when I went to the studio, the ultrasound place, Expectation Studio, they denied my pregnancy, and my sister put me out before the custody trial. So when I went to the custody trial, I had to say that I was homeless, and then they gave custody of my son to Cynthia Olvera. So while I was at Shakina's house, though, there was a man named Super that came and got me and took me to a hotel. Like, I had met men on POF because there was not a lot of food in Shakina's house. They had cut off my food stamps. Shakina had stale food up in the home. She was not buying any food for me, and I was eating what I could, but it wasn't nothing left. So I was talking to dudes online, and I was asking the dudes, hey, I was making up like a story, oh, I gotta go on a trip, can you give me $50? And then the dudes was trying to make me have sex with them for food to eat. But Super was not one of them. He just came over and chilled and took me to a hotel. Then there was a man named Joshua from Swisher House, and he was trying to tell me I need to get money up out them dudes. Don't be just talking to them, you know, la 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 la. And there was a man named Travis Dope, and they call him Dope, and he was coming to see me. And he was trying to stage like altercation between me and this girl named Princess or whatever. And I just thought, you know, that's just dudes being dudes, because I had just got out. There was a dude named Papa, and he had came or whatever to spend some time with me or whatever, but he was being very rude and things like that. And I still don't know who I was involved at that point in time, but I'm just letting you guys know who I was affiliated with. So I met a man named Jakiba, and Jakiba brought me out to his home, and he had a gun, and he was being very belligerent with me when I didn't want to have sex with him after he told me he was going to give me some money if I came over and chill with him for his birthday. And so when I moved, when Shakina told me she didn't want me in her house, I ended up having to go to Jakiba's house. And Travis Trigger Gums was there, and he wanted to talk to me, and he gave me some money, and Jakimba. And they was all, let me tell you, Jakiba has a charge, he had warrants for drugs, and Jakimba was pulling out a gun on Jakiba in the kitchen, and Travis had went and bought guns, and he was getting like $500 sent to him every week. And Judy had got a new car, and they all was back there in the backyard shooting. And then the neighbors in Chambers County, because this was in Chambers County, they was all back there shooting too. So they was making me afraid all the way out here with all that shooting, and I had to ask them to stop doing that, because what if one of them bullets fly through this window, you know, and I don't appreciate that. And so they had brought me to my first custody court date, but then Judge Tracy Gilbert reset it, talking about I didn't take a parenting class that they never told me I had to take. They were supposed to send everything to my email, and they had been sending everything to my email. Then all of a sudden, when I told them that they had not sent me nothing about no parenting class to my email, all the papers that stuff that they did send me to my email disappeared out of my email. And Cynthia Olvera used to have access to this email account, but I don't know if she did it, because there's been other people trying to go in my email anyway. And I know people know how to try to hack stuff. But anyway, I don't really care about those papers, because I can prove whatever I need to prove regardless. And so there was a man named Pharaoh who had came over to my little sister's house, who I met on POF, and he was saying that he had a charge from trafficking girls in some state. Maybe it was here. But at Jakiba's house, Travis Trigger Gums, who had just got out of prison, and the day before my custody hearing, he held a gun to my head because I was crying about my son. And he had also held a gun to my head another time, threatening, saying that he had cut a girl up and put her in the woods before, and that he would do it again to American women. And he was from the Virgin Islands. And he was holding me in there with the gun when I told him I didn't want to be with him, and I didn't want to, you know, be intimate. And so there I went to, I had Jakiba take me and Jakimba take me to Reverend Stewart's house, because Judy and Jakimba was trying to say they would not take me to this second court date for my baby's hearing. And I was like, nah, because I had got a job at Sonic, and Jakiba was claiming that his car broke down when I was needed to get to work to Sonic. And they was in there trying to argue about food that I was eating after they had told me I could eat whatever I wanted when I first came. And so Jakiba was being very hostile, and Travis Trigger Guns had pulled a gun out to my head. So I was like, Jakiba, Judy, take me to Reverend Storehouse. Now, when I went to Reverend Storehouse, the one who had been doing the life sentence, and Kiwi, the one who had the rape charge, who said for trying to rape his sister, Kiwi tried to make me sleep with him for $10, and I said no. And then Reverend Stewart was trying to say he wanted me to be his wife, and then he was like kind of getting kind of hostile a little bit, and then they told me that I needed to leave, but I told them I was pregnant, and I went to the custody hearing because Reverend Stewart had took me, and then I walked to the other one, and they had gave Cynthia Vera custody of my son. So I had met a man named Leotis, and Leotis told me that he was going to come and meet me by the school, you know, because I didn't really have nowhere to go. And he said he was on the way, but he didn't show up. So I was standing over there by the school waiting, and a white man pulled up in a pickup truck with some red hair talking about, you look like you need some help. And it was my birthday, so he took me to go see a movie, Queen and Slim, and then he took me back to his house. When he took me back to his house, he tried to have sex with me, and I said no. So then he paid my phone bill before that, but then he dropped me off, and I asked him could he help me out with some money, and he said no. So I called Larissa Jones, my sister, who I had sent pictures of my belly to her when I first got out of the Montgomery County Jail, when I was at Kiwi's auntie house on that property around Cookie and Cat house. I had took pictures of my belly and sent it to Larissa, telling her they had been denying my pregnancy in the Montgomery County Jail, and she was like, yeah, you look pregnant, you need to try to call you some doctor in another state, and maybe you can go to another state. And then she had a charge for child abuse. And so then I went to this, I walked, she said she was gonna send me, Larissa said she was gonna send me $100, and then I walked to a woman named Tess' house. Now this, her boyfriend Patrick sell drugs. So Tess was telling me that, oh, they were saying that I shot Austin Metter and that he hadn't done nothing to me. They was like, it was some bogus lies, because she didn't even know him as far as what I knew to be trying to take his side, because I had just met her through Jatavia and this girl named Tanisha. And Tanisha saw bruises on my arm when my baby daddy first got out. So I'm like, why would any stories be going around that he wasn't abusing me, when Jatavia came up to me too, asking me if he was abusing me, because she was like, you look like you towed down, and I know you normally be keeping yourself up. And since he been out of prison, I've been looking at you worrying, is he abusing you? And I ain't say nothing. So I don't think there should have been no rumors going around that he was not doing nothing to me from none of these people's mouth, because they didn't even know him. I had just introduced them to him the day that he got out, and I didn't know them that well, but maybe a month or two. And so I asked Tess, I went to her house on Glassdale, and I asked Tess, I was like, Tess, can you call Jatavia, because I needed somewhere to go. And I wanted to stay over at Jatavia house for maybe a little second so I could find a job. And so she called Jatavia, and Jatavia showed up with Q, and Jatavia was kind of like tripping because a past mistake where they had tried to have a threesome with me, and I said no, and then he was still trying to talk to me, and I said no. So Q had a drug charge previously, and she called her mama, and her mama was like, nah, you don't need people up in your house. And she was like, I went to the shelter or whatever with my kids. But this was more severe because, you know, these racist people was out there trying to hurt me, and I needed my people to take me in and give me some refuge. And I didn't realize the plot that they had on my life when people was saying no, that they would not take me in, and that they was gonna leave me up out here for these people to be doing this stuff to me, because I didn't know what the hell they had planned. So Jatavia took me to the Motel 6. Larissa sent me the $100. I already had probably like a 50 or something, I think. And then I paid for the motel for like maybe 2 or 3 days. And then I didn't have, Jatavia walked up to the hotel room and saw what motel room I was in. I went to the Motel 6 in Conroe, Texas. She walked me up to my room, so she knew what room number I was in, and then she gave me a little hug, and then she walked off. And so after that, I had to get on POF because I had to tell men my situation because I didn't want to come off as no prostitute. So I just let them know, hey, look, I'm on hard times. I need to know if there's anybody who can have a heart to help me pay for my room because I just need to pay for my room. And it was all kind of men like, yeah, I'll help you. But they were saying they was going to come and then they wasn't hitting me back. So a man named Malcolm hit me up, and Malcolm came, and he had dreads, and he was a light-skinned, brown-skinned brother, and he paid for my room and bought some pizza. But then when we went down to go get some ice for something to drink, he had, this white male was out there, and he had sold the male some pills. And then he came to my room with that, and I was like, you can't be doing that over here where I got this room. And so the next thing you know, the Conroe police was all over the hotel. And then I'm over there like, what have y'all done? Like, did that white man that you tried to sell some pills to, probably could have been, he sold him the pills, he said. And I told him, don't do that. And so I had told him to give me all them drugs you got and flush them down the toilet, because you was not finna have that crap over here with me. Now, the Conroe police was not at my room door. They were just talking to some white people over there, and I don't know if it was a dude he sold the pills to or not. I just seen him over there, and I told him, you're not finna be having no, if you got drugs on you, give me everything, because you're not finna have no drugs up in my motel room. And mind you, he had just got there that day, so I didn't even know this dude like that. So I took all his drugs and I flushed them. And so the next thing you know, the Conroe police was at my door. And I'm like, I'm thinking in my head, what they doing at my door? But I was like, whatever, I ain't doing nothing, so they could leave me alone. So I laid down in the bed. We laid down and went to sleep. And then we woke up and they was gone. But they was trying to act like they was trying to come up in my room, though. And so he was trying to get me the next day to have sex with him without a condom, and I was bleeding, and I was still pregnant. And I was bleeding, and I was telling him no, and then he started getting aggressive, talking about, my auntie rich, my family rich, and you gonna be my wife, because I'll take you with me wherever I go, so you ain't gotta be in this hotel. And he was trying to say that I needed to sleep with him unprotected to do it, and I didn't trust that, and he got mad and was like, females always using me, and then they won't do what I want, like trying to convince me to do it without a condom with him. And then I knew I was already pregnant by Ostamita, but you know, I didn't really put two and two together at the time what they was trying to do. And so I told him no, and I went up in the bathroom and I started getting myself together. Now, when I went up in the bathroom and I started getting myself together because we needed to check out, he said I was going to be able to go with him. And so when I went in the bathroom and started doing my makeup and hair, he started yelling, yo, man out here, yo, man out here. And so while I was in there doing my makeup and stuff, he grabbed the pizza and he ran out the room with the rest of the pizza from the night before, and I didn't have no food to eat. Mind you, I was pregnant. So this is how they started starving me, but I didn't know. I thought he was just being malicious when he got mad because I didn't give him none, and he just took the pizza. I thought he was just being mean. So I was looking beautiful, but I remember Colin had responded as well, and Colin came over before Malcolm showed up. Or no, while Malcolm was in the room, Colin showed up and said he was gonna let me come stay at his home, that he had an extra bedroom for me. So I said to Colin, well, I already got a friend up there that's saying that he gonna help because Malcolm came first. And I was like, and he said that I can go with him. I was like, but if that don't work out, I'll come with you, because Colin was saying he wanted me to pay $500 a month for that room. And I told Colin, I don't even have a job. You know what I'm saying? I don't got the money for that. I'm trying to get on my feet. And he was like, okay, well, I'll let you spend it like 30 days, get you a job, and I'll give you time to stack your money up, and then you can pay for the rent. And I was like, cool. So while I was over here with while I was over here with Malcolm, he had left me and out there the next day. So I called Colin and was like, Colin, can you come back? Can you come get me? Because the dude, you know, I don't got nowhere to go. So because he ran off, and I had my little bag or whatever. I had a bag, I think, full of clothes, just a few clothes and some makeup. And so Colin had took like 2-3 hours, 4 hours to come. So I had sat up there at the Motel 6 for hours waiting for him to come. He said he was in Baytown, and I had a check from Sonic. So he was telling me that he'll take me out to Sonic to get the check, but that he needed to come up with the money for his rent, and that I would have to try to find a way to help him come up with the money for his rent all of a sudden. So I was like, okay. So I went out and got my check from Sonic, but the lady, when I came to get it, it was not my manager. But I called my manager previously, and I had been asking for my check, and they've been telling me that it was not there. So I kept calling, and they told me they was gonna leave it for me. So when I came, it was another lady who I had not seen before, and I told her there's a check here for me. My name Andrea Jones, and she gave me the check. And then after that, she was like, how do I know you really Andrea Jones? Like she was gonna try to take the check from me. And I just looked at her and said, well, this is my check and I already got it in my hand, so I ain't gotta explain nothing to you. And I got in the car with Colin, and then we pulled off and left. So the money for the check, I think I had took some of my money and I pawned my laptop so I can go get me a new phone, because I had a little flip phone, Walmart phone. And Colin was telling me that I needed to go on POF to try to talk to people to try to get some money, and he was getting real hostile about the rent. And I was looking for jobs and nobody would hire me. And then when I went to McDonald's to fill out an application, there was a man. Now mind you, Colin had told me he did time in prison, but he didn't tell me what for. And he had said something about some dude over there thought he had tried to rob him or whatever, but I don't know why he had went to prison. I think he said it was for drugs. And so basically Colin was telling me that I needed to hurry up and get a job because he needed to pay his rent, that his rent was due, he was gonna get kicked out, and he was finna kick out his roommate and all of this. And he had a job, but when I went up to the McDonald's to fill out an application, the old man had asked me if I have sex with him for $20. He tried to talk to me, and I told him no. And then he said, I know the manager up here, I'm gonna talk to her and see if I can get you a job then. I was like, that's cool, because I ain't trying to have sex with you. So one day, he called me and told me to come up there to talk to her. And I didn't come right away, but when I came, she told me that she was not hiring. And there was a whole bunch of black women that was working up there telling me that I could not work up there because there was too many people already working up there. So I was like, okay. So I had to walk miles. It took me 5 hours to go to the Cricket store because Colin told me it was right up the street. And then I had to walk over 5 hours to get there on foot, and got me a new phone. And he was mad that I had spent my money to get me a new phone. And then he started telling me that I could not eat nothing in his refrigerator. He was like, don't touch my orange juice, don't touch none of my roommate stuff. But he had told me he was finna kick the roommate out so I can get that room. So he never let me sleep in that room, and he had me sleeping up in the bed with him, having sex with him. And so then he started telling me that there was a girl named Kawana, and I seen her name on some mail that was laying around. Or I don't know if that was her, but I seen a girl named Kawana on some papers, and he was telling me she was pregnant with his twins, and that I was gonna have to get the F out, because I was attempting to try to fool Colin because I knew that I was pregnant. And I was gonna try to attempt to fool him and try to say that I was pregnant by him, just so he didn't realize when my stomach was poking out that he didn't try to put me out. And Colin was like, well, don't even try that with me, because I know that's not my baby or whatever. And so then he told me that the girl was coming and that she was pregnant by him for real. This is what he was saying. So he was telling me that I needed to leave. And so I ended up leaving his house, but he sent me to the gas station to go get him some Tylenol or something. And when I went to go and get it, there was a man at the gas station in a black Dodge Challenger, and he was asking me, oh, do you got ID? Because I want to take you to 3rd Ward or 4th Ward or 5th Ward to get some syrup or whatever with your ID. And I told him, no, I ain't trying to get in trouble for that. And then so he was like, okay, cool, but take my number anyway, you know, just in case we can hang out. So one day, I know I went over there because I believe Colin was treating me bad, and I told the man to come get me, and he had like pounds of drugs in a little duffel bag. And I was like, hell no, I ain't finna be riding around with you with this. And he tried to take me to an apartment that he was supposedly trapping out of, and I didn't feel comfortable, and I told him to take me back over there to Colin's house. And then he was like, I'll call you an Uber, but I ain't about to drive you back. So he called me an Uber, and I went through the Uber. And so while I was at Colin's house, he tried to get a Hispanic male. He was like, I got a friend, and he gonna want to give you some money. And the man came over there, And he asked the man to give me some money for sex. And the man was telling me that he had a wife, but that he wanted to give me some money. And I was telling the man I really didn't want to do it. And the man was telling me he'll give me $100 for sex, trying to get me to agree to have sex with him for money. And I was telling the man, if you want to give me some money, then just give me the $100 then. And he was saying that he didn't have it, but he was still trying to make it seem like I was soliciting myself, or he was trying to make me solicit myself to this Hispanic male that he claimed that he worked with. So then I ended up leaving Colin house, and I took my little bag and I sat at the gas station. And because something happened to where Colin had me, he was arguing with me and had me calling men off of POF. And when I was calling the men off of POF, they was picking me up from his house and dropping me off in the middle of nowhere on the street. And then I called Jatavia, and I asked Jatavia or Tess could they come and get me. And Tess said she was too drunk to come and get me from this gas station or whatever that this man left me at. And then so because the man took me to a hotel and said he was gonna pay for the money, for the hotel, but then he had went and bought some liquor. And then when we had got to the hotel, he had asked me could I pay for the room, and I said I couldn't. And he started to act real belligerent, talking about he had a gun. And I was like, where is the gun? You keep talking about you got a gun, like, cause I ain't feel comfortable being in the car with him, telling me he had no gun. And he put me out at the gas station, and Jatavia said that she would not come and get me either because something was wrong with her car. But she said that I said, well, if I find a ride there, can I come there? And she was like, if you find a ride, you can come here. So this woman and her man was right there watching in this little van, and they had a little girl in the car, or a little boy, a little girl, and the car smelled like weed when I got in the car. And then they had told me that they'll drop me out, but they ain't had no phone to see how I can get there. So I plugged my phone up in that car, and then I had them transport me from that gas station where he left me to Jatavia house. And when I got there, her and Q was up in there, and she had pulled out the little futon bed for me to sleep on, and I prayed or whatever, and then I went to sleep. I didn't eat nothing. Everybody was already in the bed. Ain't nobody offered me no food. I ain't asked. So I went to sleep, and when I woke up, the syrup man called me and was like, do you want me to come get you? Now, I was going to stay over there and fill out some applications at Conroe and get me a job and try to go to the shelter. So he was picking me up because I was hungry, and I was going to be looking for a job with no money to eat. So I was like, if you buy me breakfast, then I'll let you come pick me up. So he said he was going to buy me something to eat. Now, mind you, I'm pregnant. So he said he was going to buy me some food. So I was like, okay. So he sent the Uber to come and pick me up. Now, when I got to him over there in 3rd Ward, 4th Ward, 5th Ward, where the Uber or whatever brought me to, he was trying to use my ID to go and get the syrup or whatever. And then he told me, because I told him I wasn't trying to do that, but some woman pulled up talking about she needed to see my ID to try to get me a phone, or to try to do something to get me a phone. And I just went on ahead and let the lady see my ID, talking about getting me a phone. She wanted to see if I could qualify for a credit line for a phone. And then she just got my information and gave me back my ID, and then there was nothing about no phone. So I already had a Cricket phone, but I guess it was going to be like some real nice phone like Verizon or whatever, but she never did mention nothing else about no phone. And so after that, he was telling, I asked him, can you give me a few dollars so I can go into this little Hispanic restaurant and get me some tacos? And then he was like, bitch, it ain't my job to feed you. And he started getting very belligerent. So at that point, I was like, oh, hell nah, I'm not finna take this bullshit. And then he was like, here, I was just playing, go ahead and take some money and go up in there. So when I went up in there to get the food, I came out. He had pulled off with my charger in the car. And so I started telling him I was going to call the police because I must have had something else in his car that he pulled off with. And I was like, I'm going to call the police if you don't come back with my stuff. And I will expose this little doctor's office thing you doing over here too if you think I'm playing. So he came back and he was yelling at me like, oh, why you talking about calling the police? I said, because don't be riding off with my stuff. He was like, oh, I was going to come back. I was like, but how I know you was going to come back? I don't know you like that. And then he was talking about putting me on Snapchat. He was like, oh, do you got a Snapchat? He was like, I'm going to put you online on this site, and I'm going to put you on Snapchat, and we're going to get an apartment, and we're going to make some money. And then so I was like, nah. And I ended up just walking off and leaving with my stuff. and I went to a Whataburger and I started calling this man named Joshua from Swishahouse that I had met off of POF. And then Joshua was telling me that he could let me go to his friend's house, but that he was staying with another woman now and that he couldn't be there. So I didn't feel comfortable going to this dude's house because this dude was trying to have sex with me when me and Joshua was talking, and I ain't like the dude. So I was like, nah, and I talked to the dude and I was like, if I could come over there and you ain't gonna try to sleep with me, then it's cool. And then he started going off or whatever, like, ain't nobody, I got a wife, ain't nobody gonna touch you, but he still, excuse me, was being very belligerent. So I was like, nah, you know what I'm saying? I'm not finna go over there. And I called this man named Pharaoh, the one who told me that he had to charge for pimping, but he had a job at a funeral service transporting the funeral bodies. So I told Pharaoh, go ahead and come and get me. And Pharaoh was like, yeah, I'ma come. And he came, and when he came, he took me to the little funeral office place that he worked out of, and he had some snacks in there, but not no real food, and he had some weed, and he was like, yeah, you can smoke this weed, la la la, and here goes some snacks and everything, and give me some pictures of you. He was like, because I got some pictures, I'm gonna put them online to show some Mexicans to see if they'll give you some money. And then so I was so broke and hungry and everything, I was like, all right, well, you know, I'm very classy or whatever, so, you know, they're gonna have to be the type to understand that I'm a classy woman. And then he was like, all right, it's cool. And then so he was like, yeah, the Mexicans, they know how, you know, to deal with a classy woman and thing. So I sent him some pictures, and he was telling me that he needed some more provocative pictures of me. So I was telling him that's all I had, and he posted them pictures and said that he came back saying, I'm gonna need you to go walk Bissonnette. And I was like, nah, I'm not finna do that because I'm not no prostitute, and I'm not about to let you have me out there like that. That's not what you said this was. And then he started yelling, talking about, oh, bitch, you don't want no money, get the fuck on in. And I was like, well, take me to the Salvation Army in Conroe. And he was like, nah, bitch, you ain't got no money for me to take you out there. I'll take you to the Star of Hope. I said, nah, because I'm trying to be close to my baby. And Conroe, Texas was where my house was, and my baby was right over in the next city in Magnolia, Texas. So I wanted to be near my son, and I wanted to be able to get my job and get back right over where I was living in Conroe, because even though they charged me, I was not guilty, and I wanted to be near my son. And then so he was telling me, well, I'm going to take you over there to the Star of Hope, or bitch, you just gonna walk. So I was like, I started recording him. I was like, nigga, I was like, you know, these white folk done ran me, this white man done ran me up out of my house. My baby daddy is white. I was like, be me and y'all black men sitting over here trying to put me on the track when y'all should be standing up for me. They done poisoned me in the back of the Montgomery County Jail, and y'all ass out here trying to pimp me. And I was like, to hell with you. And I walked off. Now, when I was walking off, I started walking off in that direction, trying to see if I could find a bus stop or something. And then a man in a FedEx truck pulled up and was like, oh, ain't nothing that way for you to, for nothing down there. He was like, hop in, you can ride with me. And I was crying, and he let me ride on the back of the FedEx truck. And then he was telling me, he was like, you know, that's messed up, whoever got you out here like this. I'm gonna let you sit let you sit in my car. So we went to his FedEx job, and he let me sit in his little red car, and he was telling me that he was moving, so he could not let me come and stay with him, but he was telling me that he could give me some money, and that I called Colin, and he said he'll talk to Colin and ask Colin to let me come back over there. So I went back over there, and he